From job growth to the future of manufacturing in the Alamo City to a look at what to expect from the housing market. San Antonio Express News business editor and columnist Greg Jefferson is here for another business briefing. So instead of looking back at 2019, we're going to look ahead to 2020.
We'll take what we know about 2019 and we'll look forward.
That's right.
Right?
Yes,
okay.
We are looking forward. So let's talk about job growth. Does that look promising for
It
our
does.
area?
Well, yes, it does.
Okay.
So we're ending, or as we kind of head to the end of the year, our job growth rate is about 2.8%, which does not sound great, but it is actually higher than the state average and better than last year. So, we had a strong year for employers creating new jobs and companies moving into San Antonio and bringing jobs with them. So that's encouraging. And there's really nothing on the horizon other than this, tariff war and a very uncertain presidential election. Apart from that, things seem to be pretty steady. I mean, there's no reason to think we're headed for a depression or a really deep recession. So, at this point, I think it's pretty safe to say, at least in the next few months going into early 2020, we'll see probably the same pace of job growth. And that kind of feeds into the housing market, which has been pretty strong. Again, same thing. There's no reason to think we'll be backsliding much.
Okay. In terms of job growth, is there any indication perhaps what industries in San Antonio may see the biggest growth?
Yeah, I mean, so this year in 2019, the top three for adding jobs was hospitality and leisure, construction, and manufacturing. Hospitality and leisure and construction led by far. They beat every other jobs category handily. Unfortunately, those are some of the lower paying jobs. You still want them because, obviously, if employers are bringing and adding jobs like those here, there's a demand for them and there are people to fill those jobs. But the money's not hot. Manufacturing, on the other hand, that's encouraging because that does pay more than the average salary or average wage in San Antonio. And it seems to be picking up a head of steam. It's funny, manufacturing is not something you think of as kind of a growth industry, and nationally that really is the case. It's not particularly a strong growth sector, but in San Antonio, it is, at least, now. Yeah, it's working for us now. In 2019, you had Toyota announcing that it's investing more than $300 million in its Southside truck plant. You have Navistar, they're going to be bringing 500 jobs to a new plant on the south side. And, it's going to be right next to the Toyota plant. And those numbers don't really factor in this year at all. None of those jobs exist yet. You also have a Toyota supplier, housin, that's going to be opening in Cibolo. It's going to be a 900 employee factory to supply the Toyota plant and many others in the region. These are stellar numbers. That's great news, and it's happening just in a part of the economy that San Antonio has never really excelled in.
In terms of Toyota and Navistar, those two big announcements, why do you think that San Antonio is seeing growth in those kinds of manufacturing jobs?
I think there are several things at work. Most of the new jobs in manufacturing, in one way or another, kind of play into Toyota's decision in 2003 to build its next Tundra plant in San Antonio. In retrospect, when you look at that decision, it was a real leap of faith. This was basically $1 billion investment that Toyota was going to make in San Antonio. And it wasn't a proven auto manufacturing center. There were serious questions about whether we would have the workforce to actually fill those positions. And that's been a challenge for Toyota. But what's followed from that is, you've got Toyota and 20 plus suppliers moving in. They're churning out a lot of product and a lot of trained workers. So when they move on from Toyota or from any of the suppliers, they're available for a pool. And you've got local government, universities, and our community college system involved in training kind of next generation workers for Toyota, for the suppliers. So they're creating kind of a workforce, I think, that Navistar and other manufacturers are going to want to tap into.
Okay.
I mean, there's still a lot of work to do. I mean, it's still, you still have to consider San Antonio's workforce. They're San Antonio's skilled workers, skill level, not quite up to par, not where they need to be, but they're getting there.
So with Toyota's announcement that they made made this year about what's to come, that was really just an investment in the facility that already exists.
That's right. Yeah,
and we don't know, right, how many jobs that's bringing,
or whether it will bring, whether it will bring any jobs. But you have to assume that with, with an investment of that size, it at least raises the chance that Toyota will bring some other model to that plant to produce. So right now it makes mid-size Tacomas and full-size Tundras. The question is, will they bring, are they going to be bringing a third model to that plant? And if they do, it seems likely that they're going to be adding workers to accommodate that.
And Navistar, for those people not familiar with that, that's more commercial trucking.
Yeah, they do. Actually, they do heavy-duty trucks, some military vehicles, and school buses. But here they're going to be making commercial kind of heavy trucks. They're going to break ground early next year, and the facility will be operational, and I believe it is 2021.
Okay. So we got some time on that.
Yeah, got plenty of time.
Let's talk about the housing market for 2020. That has been hot in San Antonio. So how are things looking for the next year?
Great. I mean, as long as you're adding jobs, you're going to have a good market. I mean, and San Antonio continues to do that. So you've got people, moving to the city. You have increasing wages. So, you also have a segment of the existing homeowners who, they want to move up. It's time they're done with their starter home. They're going to go to that next level market. So there's some shift there. But yeah, I mean, as long as the economy is ticking along, you're going to have a pretty decent market. The question is, how tight is it going to get? I mean, there's housing construction underway. And, for the year, we're looking, at least through the end of October, you had year-to-date home sales growth of about 4%, which exceeds, what you saw at the state level. And, there's no reason to think, as long as the economy holds out, that will not continue into next year. But again, I mean, you've got home builders building quickly, but is it going to be enough housing? Is it going to be, is it going to loosen up anytime soon so that if you're a buyer, you don't have to act like in nanoseconds? Yeah. I mean, and that's what a lot of buyers are finding now. I mean, it's like you've got to be ready with a bid, get it in. My oldest daughter just bought a house, and I mean, looking for a house just, from her experience, tells me it was like a full-time job for like 3 or 4 weeks.
Wow.
So yeah. And I assume her experience wasn't too different from others in this market. Yeah.
Okay.
And we've been seeing housing prices, as the market tightens and as it gets a little more difficult for buyers to find what they're looking for. That of course is driving up prices. So the median home price is it's over $230,000, which means on the other side, you've got an affordable housing problem that's getting worse.
Right. The question of are builders cranking them out fast enough exists all at the same time while the city tries to grapple with the issue of affordable housing.
Oh yeah, exactly.
In San Antonio.
And the houses that developers are building, are they in what's considered an affordable range? A lot of them are not.
So we'll see how the city deals with that in 2020
Yeah.
and how the housing market fares here locally.
Absolutely.
All right, Greg, thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you.